Namaste and welcome to today's Love Satsang. Today with my cat in my lap, so maybe you will hear from time to time some cat noises. But nevertheless, always wherever I am, whatever circumstances I have, I'm here to, yes, channel whatever wants to be channeled through me for the collective. Today, the topic, soul sovereignty. And I feel soul sovereignty is very much in the field, although you may not use this terminology, sovereignty, what is it, and what it stands for, that we will discuss also today. But as I tap into the collective field of awakening, of ascension, of returning home to your true self, it is one of the key elements of, of really coming back to your own true self and not outsourcing your power, not playing small anymore, not believing everything that is being told, and also not maybe what I am telling you, because we all are just inspiring each other, and you are your own best guru in a way. Your own discernment is always needed. So let us start today. As always, whenever you feel, you can also when you watch this replay, drop your questions and discuss further with me. I'm always open to that, because I feel also what comes with soul sovereignty actually is that you not only listen, that you not only consume, that you not only take or not only give, but that you are interacting and interwoven into a flow of life, of existence, and letting it flow through you and towards you. So it's kind of like a very organic mechanism, I feel, that we are journeying back towards as a collective. And soul sovereignty is one of the key elements, because when we look at human history, we have been very much dependent on outer sources, religion, politics, systems in general, whatever label you have for systems that keep you actually in a lower frequency, and also in that sense in a hierarchy. So there has been a lot of hierarchy in human history that we obeyed to in a way, or that we were conditioned to obey. And now it's kind of like this elbowing out of hierarchy, elbowing out of the way we used to obey and live according to what others say, and by that also reclaiming our own power. When we want to go deeper into spirituality, when we want to go deeper into the truth of our being, which is actually spirituality in a way, it's everything, but it's mainly concerned with coming back home to oneness, to truth, to love, as always, and reclaiming what has been lost or forgotten, the remembrance of yourself. I am talking about this every time, as you may have noticed when you're following me, because this is the key, the essence of all what you are and what you're here for. I mean, of course, yes, we can play, but if you are on that journey of diving deeper, before the play comes the grand questioning and the grand journey, the hero's journey of what this is all about, what you are about, what you are, what this is, and then to eventually see nothing really truly matters, and then to play with that matter. Soul sovereignty. What is it? Soul sovereignty is owning your power when you have reclaimed your power, not outsourcing it, not thinking, believing you are this or that, but remembering you're everything and nothing. It is using your internal navigation system instead of listening predominantly to others, what others say, do, think, feel, to take others as an inspiration and maybe as some form of short-term guidance, if that resonates with you, but to not fully always give your entire power away to something outside of you. And that means also soul sovereignty. That's why, I mean, soul, to be honest, soul sovereignty is a little bit of a paradox, because soul, the soul, your soul, is always sovereign. There is no dependency, hierarchy, or whatever. It's sovereignty part that we are talking about, but soul sovereignty, because when you are aligned with your soul, when you go back, turn back to your soul, instead of identifying yourself with all these labels and identities you are journeying as a human being with, then you automatically are in sovereignty. Soul means sovereign. When you are in soul, when you are aligned with your soul, with your core true essence, you are fully sovereign, and you remember nothing outside of you can diminish your light, can take away your power, can do anything with you, can affect you. And that needs a deep groundedness, a rootedness, an anchoredness in your own internal being, no matter what outside happens. And that's easier said than done, obviously. So oftentimes, if your soul is on that path of soul sovereignty, then it will initiate you through experiences in your life. Yeah, especially those experiences from a human perspective we title as dramatic or depressive, or something tower moment like, void state like, where you are thrown into weird circumstances or dark circumstances. Because actually, when something is taken from us, especially what we cherish, what is dear to our heart, when we have an attachment to something and that is taken from us, exactly in these moments we are in a way tested or initiated into that is outside of you, and how much do you see that what you are seeking outside is a part of you inside. The more outside falls away, the more you are guided back to the center of yourself, your own sovereign self, to not be dependent, to not attach to something outside of you. Because the more we are attached to something outside of us, of course, the focus is always like outside of something. And when that falls away, there is an identity crisis oftentimes. Yeah, there's like, oh gosh, this is now falling. Who am I now? These situations happen continuously over the path of our existence, if you're on that path of awakening. Because, as I said, it is exactly there to bring you back to soul sovereignty, bring you back to, no matter what happens outside, you can stay rooted, you can stay grounded, you can stay in your peace. Nothing can distract you from your core true soul essence or your soul's truth. And soul sovereignty is a big topic. I framed it today, especially concerning the labels and identifications that are somehow defining your humanness, your human being. But soul sovereignty, if we look from it from a higher perspective, it's so much more. It's so much more interwoven in the power dynamics of this life, of, in a way, also this, if you see it from a game of duality, this light and dark against or with each other, dancing or against each other or magnetizing towards each other sometimes. It is much bigger, interwoven into the collective field. That's why I started in that way somehow. That's why I started in that way, because I invite you as always to reflect what soul sovereignty means for you, and also where you stand right now. Where do you give your power away to outside sources? And sometimes it can be in sneaky ways. Sometimes it can be even like this, watching too many of videos, listening to many podcasts, thinking of too many concepts in your head without really tuning into your own intuition. So many key aspects to consider, to know, am I really in my power, or do I give my power away? Do I give my power away in one-on-one situations, group situations, partnership, family, friends? Do I give my power away in job situations, in working towards something, where do you give your power away? And where do you actually have reclaimed it already? Where can you see, yes, good job, I have reclaimed in this situation my power? Small moments sometimes where we rethink, like, I was not standing truly in my sovereign self. I was not standing up for myself. I accepted something less than I deserve. Because sovereignty also, for me at least, means, when I'm channeling it down now, is in a way staying true to yourself, staying true to what your truth is, staying in alignment with what resonates with you and what your soul actually desires. Not to bend and pretzel yourself in other people's mindsets, or be always the flexible one, always the compassionate one, always the one who does the job. Yeah. But to also speak your truth, stand in your truth, to know what you want, and to actually also know what you don't want, to have your standards and your boundaries. So you see, like, soul sovereignty is such a big topic. I could even talk multiple times about this, and maybe it will be coming up in the future again. But today is especially about the labeling and the conditioning of who you are. Because soul sovereignty is actually, you can be anything and everyone. Of course, your soul has chosen to be a specific someone, to explore specific archetypes, to represent specific archetypes and play with them. Yes, and therefore certain experiences are orchestrated in your life. However, when you look deeper beyond any label or any conditioning, you are, of course, the vast field of nothingness or everythingness, however you want to switch the perspective. Only once we descend into form, once we are inhabiting this body, we are becoming this human being. It's a natural, automatic response, even, or mechanism of this game, to use labels, to use names for what you are and what everyone else is, and what everything else is. So any word is a label in a way. If your name is a label, your job title is a label, your, however you call yourself, I'm compassionate, I'm patient, I get easily angry, I get whatever, annoyed by XYZ. All this I ams continue, are labels, are oftentimes labels stemming from conditioning, in the sense of something you have experienced, or someone, or you yourself have given yourself. Yeah, so in a way that makes up your identity. Your identity is a sum of labels. Labels that you have been conditioned to, that you have learned, that you have given yourself. Yeah. In the beginning, often these labels are not yours. I mean, not the ones you have consciously chosen. Something you've been carrying from lifetimes, even, or especially from childhood. Something that you have learned, actually, this is a repetitive pattern. So this label, this name, this I am this and that, has ingrained itself so much that you identify with it, and it becomes part of your identity. And often these early names and labels are something quite hard, more challenging to unravel, to untangle from your being. That's where we tap into deconditioning and reprogramming, into looking at your belief system and consciously reprogramming yourself, what I also have already talked about, of I want to consciously choose who I am. Yeah, a lot of people, I would say, are already in that stage of reclaiming, of renaming, of saying, this is who I am, this is who I want to be. And then we are in the realm of identity shifting, or shape shifting. Like, actually, I can consciously choose what I call myself, or how I want to be, and then to perceive myself as that, as long, I mean, to repeat it as long as is resonating with me, and then to change, to choose consciously another outcome of my identity. To label myself consciously in a way, yeah? And that's already part a little bit of sovereignty, of saying, no one has the right to label me this way. Or maybe if they label me this way, they can do that. I'm not affected by it. That's their program running or their projection, their trigger maybe, not me in essence. Yeah, to distance yourself from labels others give you. And then we, yeah, have this already forming sovereignty or remembrance of sovereignty of I want to consciously choose who I am. I want to consciously create my reality, which is based on the identity. And there you may find yourself currently in, because it's actually also how I see it, how the soul likes to play, to explore different archetypes and identities of yourself, and then get a more holistic view of what am I, who am I, what is experiencing itself through me in this very moment or this phase of life. Sovereignty includes, therefore, some labels maybe in a conscious way. And then we have also the choice of saying, I don't need any labels. I want to explore myself beyond that. That's further ahead, maybe, of the evolution and seeing all labels, all identities that stem from these labels are restrictions, are limitations, are not what I truly am, of course. To then explore the emptiness of your being. What am I beyond labels? Can I define something? Do I want to define something? Or is definition already, again, labeling? Because emptiness is, in a way, cannot be really labeled or grasped. It's just flowing, floating, something organically, yeah, sometimes forming and sometimes losing itself. And exactly that are we in beyond the physical form. We are just like an energy, or even beyond the energy, it's a question mark our human mind cannot perceive. And what this gives you, well, like if you see like, you have been given labels and you have formed an identity, then you become more conscious and seeing, I can label myself, I can give myself titles. Yeah, and transitions to, okay, this is my soul essence, and I really see what are my talents I came here to bring with, and then the labels actually match your soul more and more, because labels are needed for humanity to interact in some way, and also for others to really get an idea of who you are, what you represent and stand for, and then to transition to the emptiness, to explore that. And this spectrum gives you the range, the capacity of playing with that. And that's the power of sovereignty in terms of labels, conditioning, identity. Yeah, as I said in the beginning, soul sovereignty or sovereignty itself is such a vast topic. But when we look at the specific part of identity, of conditioning, of labeling yourself, sovereignty is of reclaiming that power, that you are not what others say you are, that you have the right to define yourself as what you want to be, and that you have the explorative curiosity intrinsically inside of you at some point to also explore what are you beyond all these labels, identities, names, phrases, conditionings, to tap into the emptiness of your being, from which is a void state also related to that, you can again form a new identity. So it's very organic, very playful, and very much, as I see it, as how the soul enjoys this human life. Yeah, how it can again enjoy this life, because I also know, and of course I'm not here just telling something, but I'm also having my own journey, and what I share is based on my own journey, contemplations and channelings and interactions, and my vast field of beyond this physical level of existence, my other dimensions that I'm tapping into, that, and my remembrance, obviously, that we are at a point where some people are so much already again into a labeling of shadow work, and for some part that is necessary in a way, if you see that game of identifying themselves as light worker, shadow worker, as the great split of I'm going into the light, I'm going into the darkness, or I'm in the light and they are in the darkness, or like labeling, judgment. Because with any label, you automatically have some form of judgment, some form of opinion. Again, this is somewhat needed in this human dimension, this level. But the mastery is to catch yourself and to know when you are operating from this frequency of labeling in judgment or labeling in sovereign decision, this is who I am. Or even if you find yourself labeling someone else, to see this is my own projection onto them. And it's not my right to say to them, hey, you are like this and that. I mean, you can, but it's not your right to just define them by this one single word, because when we interact, we just get a very tiny glimpse into the vastness of one soul. And obviously also depending on how much that other person already is in soul sovereignty and playing with identities and has reclaimed different parts of themselves and so forth. That depends on that also, of course, how much we see of that person, the wholeness of someone. And then we have, in a way, an interaction of identities or sovereign selves. If we look from identities, it's more a conditioned belief system. And if we see from sovereign self, it's more of I chose to be that identity. Or we can say this distinction is between conditioning and conscious choice. Conditioning is never really a conscious choice unless you reframe it in the way of I make that choice to condition myself by repeating names, labels, beliefs, habits, and making it my own. To take the power of my own avatar programming back, instead of letting myself be defined what religion I am, what caste I am, what politics I follow, what my love language is, whatever. Yeah, so many systems, and they give us direction. Of course, as I always say, learn concepts, learn systems. That's for your human brain and for the masculine principle in us very, very beneficial. And once you've learned it, once you've navigated it, once you've understood it and have a understanding of it in way of you can use it, then use your discernment and how far it adapts and like really functions in your own world, in your own reality, in your soul's path. Which means to use concepts not rigidly, but fluidly in a way, adapting it to your own needs and preferences. Yes, maybe to play with it as well, to interweave different concepts, but never to let yourself define by any single one, because this is a limitation of your vastness, of your soul, a limitation of, of what you may have thought you were. What soul sovereignty also means, of course, in that sense, because it is much more complex than just following some rules and regulations from politics, from religion, from whatever group you define yourself in, which give direction, but also give limitation. So there's a balance needed sometimes that you need your own discernment. When does it give you still direction, but also when does it restrict you, make you smaller than you are. Sometimes we just transition in phases through constructs and systems to then master something or to learn about something or to actually see we are not that. So we want to break out of it and then to loosen that, to break free of that phase and transition into the next phase. So this complexity needs your asks for your responsibility. And that again, for some, ego especially, means out of comfort zone. Because yes, it gives freedom, but responsibility also means you are your own director, actor, producer of this movie you're currently living. It's knowing when to listen, when to rest, when to act, when to take aligned action, when to interact, when to be in solitude, and so forth. It gives freedom, it gives also responsibility. So with freedom actually comes self-responsibility, but it gives soul sovereignty. Because what happens when we stay stuck in the comfort zone of just following blindly someone else or letting others define labels for us, giving us an identity that we just follow without questioning, that can lead to dropping into victim mentality. Oh, I have experienced this and that, and therefore I cannot do this and that. Or, oh, I have this and that, and others don't really see how much I suffered. Oh, but I cannot do this because that happened in the past. All these storylines of victim mentality are, in a way, blocking soul sovereignty. Sovereignty is responsibility, is also taking responsibility to not see yourself as victim, because being the victim, even though you may not call yourself like this, but if you have patterns, repeated thoughts of that in your mind, then it is a label that restricts you. Victim is a label that restricts you. And actually, what I invite you to do is also to see every label you give yourself, what you call yourself. Maybe make a list of it, to write down, I am this, I am this. All these I am statements that you have predominantly and repetitively in your head, like titles. I am a mother, I am a daughter, I am all these titles, then titles of your job, titles of I am compassionate, I am discerning, I am joyful, I am whatever. All these I am statements, take a list what comes into your mind about yourself. And then take this list and look at it and reflect yourself from a more zoomed out perspective. Who do I think I am actually? And do these I am statements actually match the identity I want to live, I want to represent? And be honest with yourself also to list I am statements that are repetitively in your head, but you don't really actually want to have or see yourself. Note down all, look at them, reflect what is actually what you want to keep and what is blocking you, limiting you, what is not who you truly think you are. Because actually all labels is not truly what you are, of course, but it is a way of finding an alignment step by step towards your truth. Truth reveals over time. Your soul reveals over time. That's a fact, in a way, on our linear time scale in human terms in this dimension. I mean, truth is always there, your soul is always there, but the revelation that happens orchestrated in an orchestrated way. Otherwise, why would you be here? Like, finding out about yourself is the curiosity, the curious play of the divine through you to experience itself and Think like, okay, I can be this, I can be that, and maybe I'm this, maybe I'm that, or maybe I'm nothing. Play. So you have your list and you look through it and see, this is how I define myself currently. This is my identity that I've been given or giving myself. And then to reclaim your power, to cross out all these I am statements that you feel like this is not truly what I want, what I deserve, maybe even whatever, yeah. And I am statements can even also be in the sense of I am always the one who needs to be there for others. I'm always, always and never. Look also for these two words, always and never, are a generalization, and generalization is never you. It's always something, that you have just because of repetitive experience framed in that way. So this is to be broken into, or dissolved into, okay, this was maybe at some point something, but I don't have to define myself like this. Otherwise, it will influence my current reality. So, and then you can use identity shifting of defining, who do I want to be? What is my next level self, my next level evolution? What do I want to explore? And that is part, as I said, of sovereignty, of soul sovereignty, to play with these labels, with these names, I am statements. But always to watch out which I am statements, even when I choose it consciously, come actually or are influenced actually subconsciously by something from the past, from my family, from the country where I grew up, from the culture, from the society. It needs the self-responsibility here is actually self-reflection, and when it comes to putting it in action, because just reprogram your mind obviously is the first step, but it takes a while to really integrate it into your system, so it becomes something you don't have to put effort in remembering, but it becomes a second nature of living it automatically through you. So in that sense, that's maybe the main message today for you. Your soul is always sovereign. And during awakening and remembrance, ascension, you are on that path of remembering that your soul is already sovereign, to reclaim that sovereignty, to draw back in your power, to stand in your own core, in your own truth, and to not outsource anything of your power, your energy, your vibration, your field, your beauty, on so many levels, to not outsource it to anything or anyone, and to always use your own discernment, your own intuition, your own inner knowing above that what is talked about outside, because your soul has a specific journey, a specific path, a unique journey, and all others have a unique journey. So whatever others share is from their lens of this world. No one can really 100%, never ever, tap into you. And therefore, I feel like collectively, the more people reclaim their sovereignty, the more systems will fall down, will break apart, because they don't have any energy that nourishes them, that feeds them. So sovereignty is not giving your power away. So when you draw back your power from outsourcing, from outer sources, obviously these outer sources that have been dependent on your energy are cut off the energetic supply and will die. In a way, that's how it is. Thank you so much for your braveness of walking that path, and in a way also to allow yourself to be anything, anyone you want to be, to live your soul's purpose, not just out of ego, like, who can I be, and let's see and prove who I can be, but to use this knowledge of identity shifting and of identity dissolution into emptiness, and from emptiness coming back into form, into an identity, to use this knowledge as wisdom, when to use it, how to use it, and to use it in favor of your soul, in devotion to your soul, as I always say, to bring that through you, what you came here to bring through. Which message, what is your core message? And frame your identity that so that it supports this message, that it supports your soul expressing in human form, the non-physical, to bring it into the physical, whatever your message is, because we all have one core message or multiple messages surrounding that core message. We are all messengers, all of us, all channels, all here to bring something through us so we can sense it, perceive it, work with it in this dimension. So much love and bliss as always, and see you in the next Love Satsang.